Welcome back, everyone. We are back again, yet another week, yet another book that we have completed. And for this book, we read The Mezzanine from Nicholson Baker. I would say, very interesting book. Not very adventurous, kind of, slow book. Very descriptive. How did you find it, Anup?
I found it terrible.
Straight to the point.
Yeah, it was 96 pages, like at least the version that I read. And yeah, the name was like really fancy, right? So I thought like, okay, a lot of stuff's gonna happen, but in the end, it was about a guy who described each and everything in real detail, right? So like basically everything. Nah? And I don't know. For me, after like Heart of Darkness, this was the I think like this stops Heart of Darkness in vagueness, right?
Uh, yeah, I can imagine. Like there was a whole chapter about peeing inside the bathroom, right?
Yeah,
And it was uh, I can understand why people might find it fascinating because the way he explained it was very, I would say, humorous, right? But it was nothing happened. There was no tension during the whole of
yeah,
the
yeah.
book, right? There was
Maybe
you
maybe I didn't get it, like maybe I just didn't get or get the book, but no, I absolutely uh fi- I found it absolutely terrible.
Yeah, it was quite boring. Yeah, I would say it was quite boring as well. Not so much the writing style, but the content, the plot itself, and because at least for me, I'm quite used to reading books where stuff's happened. Protagonist does
Mm.
something, antagonist does something, and they are either looking for something, finding something, or doing something.
Mm.
This was a bit underwhelming because, yeah, there was nothing so much happening. Maybe you can give a short summary for all of the fans of Anups. They are probably expecting this from
Mm.
you.
I don't know, man. Like even that, I don't know in this book because it was all over the place, right? So I don't know when the transitions happened. I don't know. I don't know a flow. So what I can say is like it's about a person who is working in an office
Mm,
and he is describing his working life, I guess,
mm,
somehow, right? Like, and he's going through the mezzanine
mm,
and yeah, he is thinking about different objects all the time, right? About
mm,
shoelaces, a lot about shoelaces, right? Until the end, I think. And
uh,
about staplers, about how to brush your teeth. That was helpful, by the way, like brushing the teeth, because I learned something new. I learned that you should brush your tongue. Because of this book, right?
uh, oh, yeah, it's quite
So
interesting.
that was there.
If I am to summarize the plot for you, I would say the guy, his shoelaces break, and the whole adventure is he goes to a nearby CVS to get a new shoelace,
Yeah.
and then during that whole ordeal, he remembers everything, and yeah, he's just basically explaining his day-to-day life in a very weird kind of sense, and yeah, that was quite interesting to read.
No, man. No, it wasn't.
Uh, I would, for everybody who's planning to read or not planning to read, to give a bit of my thought about this book is, I found the style of the book to be quite unique. Is there's a there's a main narrative going on, that is a story in the text, and almost as a footnote, the writer has written his opinion about different kind of stuffs. That was quite interesting. I don't see that anymore because for the first few pages, I was like, I just skipped those because normally I don't read footnotes a lot, but after time, I'm just the whole page is just a footnote, and I'm like, oh, okay, so it turns out this is actually important. So I had to go back and then read it, and I found it, yeah, because it's written by an American writer for an American audience. A lot of cultural references were for Americans, and while, because of the hegemonic superpower that America is, that we are quite well informed about it, still the references were from the 1980s, which are before even we were born, so it was beyond us. And yeah, I felt the book was like a typical corporate life, and in some case, in some ways, I can actually relate to that because my day job is a corporate job, and yeah, the like, most exciting thing that will happen to you is you will see a red marker somewhere in some of the numbers. Some numbers will be too high, or some
Mm-hmm.
yeah, probably somebody will bring a cake to your work. Other than that, there's nothing exciting that happens throughout. And probably the book itself is an embodiment of that. Like the
Exactly.
writer
Exactly.
wanted to
But,
just capture it
mm,
and then just put it inside the book.
I was thinking about this. Maybe that was his intention, right? So to show how monotone like working life is, you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah.
You will find it very interesting because in some way the book is kind of relatable because
Mm,
few weeks ago at work I was doing this experiment where
mm,
every time I would try to open the metallic handles of different doors, I would get the static electricity in my fingers, right? It was happening way too much. And
mm,
I asked around to my colleagues, like, do you also experience that? And they said, yeah, probably it's your shoes. But for some reason, it didn't feel convincing for me that it might be my shoes, right? So
mm, mm,
for so many days I did different experiments wearing different kind of shoes to work and trying to figure out if it is actually the shoes that's getting me electrocuted. So
mm, mm.
it's the life is so mundane, so
Yeah.
the day-to-day life is so unextraordinary that you try to make a game of itself to try to figure things out. So uh,
Maybe I will want to read it again after I've experienced that,
yeah.
maybe then I can come and say, yeah, I can relate, right? I think the problem was also that I couldn't relate at all with that character,
Mm, yeah.
whatsoever. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Other than that, I think there were some very interesting themes about the book. I want to get your opinion about that. It's basically, so the guy says he becomes an adult at the age of 23. Well, I was wondering, what do you think about that? The way he defines turning into an adult when he has to buy new shirts for himself.
Mm, mm, mm. I don't know, man. Like, I don't have any specific opinion about that, to be honest.
Uh,
I don't know. I don't have. I feel like I am not having any opinion, after reading this book, right?
mm, at least for me, I found that quite interesting. Is that only recently I'm doing corporate kind of work. Previously, I used to
Mm,
do field work where you had to go to the field, speak with people, right? Yeah, as a civil engineer, you had to go and look at building houses that were getting built. So in some way, they were more exciting. Uh,
mm,
but yeah, it's when you get out of the university, you really don't have any idea how the greater world is like. And in some sense, I think this is kind of the limitation of education because oftentimes we are kind of trained to think within the confines of our studies, of the
mm,
structures that the university sets for us.
mm,
And oftentimes we forget that the world is really vast with limitless opportunities, and not just
mm,
opportunities in sense of career, but opportunities as sense of what you can do in your free time, what what kind of people you can come across, what kind of different activities that you can do. Because yeah, when you're in university, you study for 3 months, you give an exam, you pass, and then you go to your next goal. So it's
mm,
kind of like a racetrack set up for you where you try to race with other people, whereas in life it's more like a cross country where there is no specific path. You just have to figure it out on your own and then try
mm,
to find those kind of things. And I think it is kind of a messes that you become an adult when you have to try to find your own path from a limited choices. And that part of narrative was quite interesting for me. There's
mm,
another one
mm,
part that was very interesting for me is how much the narrator refers back to his youth, right? When he was a child, when he was younger, and so on. And it's probably
mm,
that's a testament to your life in a corporate job, right? The 10 to 5 job is often these days quite frowned upon, uh,
Mm,
for the simple reason that nothing exciting happens to you. Whereas when you're much younger, probably 15-year-old, 16-year-old,
mm,
you would be doing a lot of new things. You
uh,
would be thinking about a lot of new different people and experiencing
mm,
life as it is
mm,
new, as well as you'll be more open-minded. And
mm, mm,
I see this is something that I fear is at least a lot of things when I talk about somebody new, we often refer back to what it used to be, and we would be doing the same thing again and again. I would be watching the same TV series again and again at home and stuff like that.
mm,
So the redundancy of life kind of takes over when you are embroiled in such situation.
mm, mm, mm. Yeah. Um, One thing I want to say is I think this is the first book that we read
Hmm.
where the author is still alive.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just like looked at before like half an hour ago. Yeah.
Yeah, is has he written anything else that's good? Or no, actually,
I think this was
Murakami is
one of
also
his most famous book, right?
yeah. Haruki Murakami is also alive still.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay,
Actually,
that's
he
interesting.
comes to holiday often in Spain.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's nice. It's nice to know
yeah. But
as well.
I think this guy has also given something like a TED talk.
Nicholson Baker.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure,
Okay.
but there's probably something like a TED talk from him. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
do you know what is a mezzanine, by the way?
Um, Look, like I think I also saw the German translation, and it was about like this elevator, like not lift, but this stairway elevator. You know what I mean? It was written something like that, roll tripper, I think. But
Okay.
it seems it is a open area, right? Like it is an open, flat kind of
Mm.
thing, where there are like a lot of tables and chairs, I guess.
So in during my studies as a civil engineer, we read the mezzanine. It is
Mm,
the flooring that you do. It is like the marbles. It is one of type of the marbles that you put on your floor.
mm,
Yeah, have you seen those with small marble chips everywhere?
mm,
Yeah,
mm, mm.
I think
Ah,
that's the
okay, okay,
mezzanine.
okay.
So it's
I see, I see, I see.
the title itself was about something that's completely mundane. That's everywhere. No, that's not it.
Okay. I don't know. I think it's like this open, flat kind of thing, Like if you Google it, you'll see it.
Okay.
Exactly. What meant. Yeah. So you have like a stairway leading to that place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is, hmm, I don't know. Do you know, like, if we go to Equis Plaza, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and there are like these shops, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are like these places, there are like these
Yeah.
seats, right?
Yeah.
So because that is an open place, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's called mezzanine,
Okay.
I think.
Maybe I was completely wrong. Uh, and one thing I was not able to find out is where if the company he was working for was called Mezzanine, or
I
it's
have no
only the
idea.
place where he would go and visit. Because
Yeah.
that was really I was
Mm,
trying to figure out where he was working, but I just couldn't find out where he was.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Yo,
So
that's it from me.
that was really an underwhelming book for you, I guess.
Yeah, it was, and it was my suggestion, right? It was my recommendation, so
Yeah. Yeah, we have
I
been.
owe you, I guess.
Uh, so we had already discussed about the book we want to read uh, for the next week. Uh, what the one that we have decided is The Pearl by Steinbeck, right?
Yep.
90 pages long. Yeah. Have you done any? Have you started it? Have you done any brief study on it? Or
I read like 2 or 3 pages of it,
oh,
but
okay.
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I have heard good reviews about it. So hopefully it's going to be much better this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least from my point of view, I think the book has had its charms, right? But it was not something that is meant to be read like how we are doing one book a week, but rather
Mm,
for a
mm,
prolonged period of time that it's a one long day, you are tired from work, you come back and then you don't have one
mm,
anything to do, so you just lay on your sofa and then read one chapter at a time and then pick it
mm,
up
mm.
some days later, unlike how we try to do it. So maybe it's a setting that's inconvenient, at least
I know
unsuited
what
for
you
you.
mean. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so too. I think it's a phase, right? Like I think there is a phase where we will find this book nice,
yeah.
but I mean like me personally because I'm still a student, right? But right now I didn't like it that much,
Maybe
I
there's
would say.
something you can tell is about books that are uh, at least in the internet referred to
Mm,
as a great book, but you don't find interesting by yourself. How do
mm,
you
mm.
yeah organize your thoughts in that situation? Like
If they say it's a great book, but I don't find it that awesome.
yeah,
That's
so
the question, I guess,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Uh, I think like with other things in life, like there are also types of
Yeah,
books,
yeah.
that kind of like suits your personality, right?
Mm,
So there are certain books that I wouldn't like, and I don't know, like after Heart of Darkness and this book, I think I don't like if the writing style is too vague, like, and
mm,
if it doesn't have a flow in a sense, you know what I
mm,
mean? So if you can't say, okay, like then this event happens and that event happens, but
mm,
if the book is all over the place, so I
mm.
think those kind of books I generally don't prefer, I
I,
think.
I would argue that among the two books, the similarity is that both of them are like a stream of consciousness. So a stream
Mm,
of
mm,
consciousness is a style of writing where you just write whatever you think, right?
mm,
Whatever you're feeling, and then you just write without much thought of the plot, and you're
mm, mm,
basically relying mostly on how you can weave words to make them more attractive, and probably yeah, that those are not very much to your taste. Uh,
mm,
for me, I found this book appealing to some extent, at least the parts of the main plot that's flowing.
mm,
But
mm.
the footnotes part was kind of jarring for me. So they were too
Uh,
long and then too vague for me. It's like his thoughts are jumping from one place to another place, and a lot of
mm,
cultural
mm.
references are lost on me because I don't quite get a lot of them.
Yeah, there are lots of footnotes, right? So that was
Yeah,
also crazy, I feel.
yeah,
Yeah.
unbelievable. There were parts where
Mm.
footnotes were longer than the actual story. But at least there was one message for me from this book is that you should probably try to do something new every day, every week, so that you don't get lost in the
Mhm.
mundane habits of
Yeah.
life.
Mm,
And
mm,
yeah, I think reading this one book every week is sort of a part of that, and I'm quite grateful for you
mm.
for being a part of this. Uh, Hopefully, the book next week would be better.
Yeah, I'm also grateful. Thank you for letting me be a part of this.
Then thank you very much, Anup, once again. So for next week, we'll be reading The Pearl. Uh, for everybody who is into this book, I recommend that you try this for yourself. Don't take our word for it. At least for us, for me, it was some parts were quite good, some parts were not so much. Anup was totally downtrodden with it, so you can make a opinion of yourself when you read it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Thank you, guys.
everyone, and then we speak again next week. Thank you.